Hello, Ross here. Welcome back to another video. And in this one, we're going to cover the creation of sponsors themselves. So in the previous videos, we've covered the creation of the sponsor homepage as well as the sponsor categories. Links will be in the video description if you want to go and watch those. But now we're going to update these sponsors themselves. So to get started, we'll go down to the fundraising tab, select sponsors, and then click on the sponsors tab. So with our template community, we have 4 sponsors right now, sponsors 1 through 4. So we can choose to edit these, we can remove them altogether, or we can also add sponsors from scratch. So we'll just use what's already created. We'll edit the existing sponsors just to save some time. So we'll click into view to get started. And just before we go to the general tab, I'll just highlight quickly this overview screen because with every sponsor, you can tie sponsorships to the sponsor. And what that means, so sponsors can have a sponsorship amount associated with, so maybe they gave you $1,000 to appear on your community site, so you can tie that amount here, provide the date that those funds were received. You can also optionally include the sponsorship to a fundraising campaign, and then you can provide some basic notes. This is all going to be just internal use only, so maybe it could be as simple as a follow-up date where you want your admin to reach out, see if the sponsor wants to provide another sponsorship. Then go down and click Add Sponsorship, and that's going to then update the stats on this page. So you'll see the total sponsorship amount. If it's tied to a fundraising campaign, you'll see that total amount increase as well. And then the count of sponsorships. So right now it's 0. If we did add a sponsorship, this would increase to 1. And then if we reached out next year at this time and they provided a new sponsorship, this would increase to 2 and so on. So now let's jump to the general tab. And again, this is going to be a very basic tab. We've covered it in many of the guides and videos already. This is where we can provide some basic details such as the sponsor name, the page slug, which is going to update the end of that URL, provide a short description, so just describing who the sponsor is. Again, this is going to be previewed in that feature card down below. And then lastly is the feature card image. So we can remove the template image and then we can go and upload our own. We can choose from the media library or use the AI tool to generate an image for us. So once you're done updating the fields on this page, go down and hit save and then we can move on. Next we have the details tab, and this is where we can provide additional information on the sponsor itself. So at the top we can start by assigning this sponsor to a sponsor tier. And this is completely optional, but you have the option to either create a new sponsor tier from this page, or you can choose from your existing sponsor tiers. We will cover this in a separate video, so just be on the lookout for that. Down below we have the sponsor contact information, so we can provide the contact name for this sponsor, provide their email, as well as a phone number. And then down below we have the sponsor listing details. So we can provide additional details like their website if they have one, as well as a physical address. And this uses the Google Maps plugin, so you will have that map preview down below, and this is going to appear on that sponsor page as well. So once you're done updating the information on this page, be sure to hit save. And moving on to the media tab. So this is where we can update the position of the image that we're using as well as the content. And we've covered this tab in many other videos and guides. The steps are going to be the same, so we won't go into all the detail, but please refer to the written guide to get all the information on all of the fields. So what I encourage you to do is just preview what this page currently looks like because you might like this layout. So right now, this is what the sponsor page looks like. We have the image on the left and then the contents on the right, and you can see that's centered. We then have the content that was entered on the details tab, so we have the link to the website and then the Google Map location. So if we're okay with that, we can, for the most part, leave this page as is. You'll want to update the image, and this will be the image that we used on the general tab, which is just that sponsor logo. That'll be from your media library. So you can update the image and then hit save. Otherwise, feel free to adjust these settings as needed. But once you're done making changes on this page, be sure to go down and hit save, and then you can move on. And now onto the content tab. So this is where we can provide additional details on the sponsor themselves. So we can describe, who they are, what they do, the services they provide, maybe where they're located, where they operate, all that kind of stuff. Just keep in mind that you have a character limit of 4,000, and if you need additional space, you can do so from the Layout tab by adding additional content blocks. And once you're done adding your content, as always, go down and hit save, and then you can move on to the next tab. Here on the Layout tab, so this is where we can add additional content to your sponsor page. It'll also give you a slight preview of the page itself. Just keep in mind it's not going to be a totally accurate preview just because we are still in the dashboard and we have those side menu options that are taking up some space. If you do want to get a sense on what the page looks like, click on the preview option and that's going to open up in a new tab. So we'll get a better sense as to what this page actually looks like right now. So back to the dashboard. So if you did want to add additional content, again, you'll just go down to the bottom and select Add Block to End. This is going to open up the available page blocks, which you can then choose from to further customize this page. So once you're happy with the layout of the sponsor page, we can move on to the next tab. And lastly is the visibility tab. So first we can start by changing the status. So right now it's set to live, which means that anyone that has access to our community site can see this page so long as that it's linked somewhere. Draft, this means that the page isn't visible to your audience. It's only visible in the dashboard, so your admins can work on this page and so on. Archived is very similar. The only difference is that archived pages can be permanently deleted, whereas draft cannot. You can also set a publish date, so if the status is set to live, you can set this publish date, and then the page will become visible on that specific date and time. You can also have a hide after date, so if you only want this page to be visible for a certain period of time, you can set those dates and times, and then once that date and time is met, this page will switch from live to archived. And then we can categorize our sponsors. So in a previous video, we've updated one of the template sponsor categories to make it our own. That was actually the community sponsor category, so it's already selected, but if we didn't want this category, simply just click on the trash can icon and that'll delete that sponsor category from this sponsor. And then if you want to add a new sponsor category, simply select the category group. In this case, we'll choose the sponsor category group and then choose from your available sponsor categories. So we have community and family and friends. And if you remember from that previous video, the family and friends category was still that template sponsor category. So we won't choose that. In fact, we'll go back and we'll choose that community sponsor category again. So once you select it, click on add. Now it belongs to that community sponsor category. So once you're done making changes on this page, be sure to hit save. And now that's going to be it for the updating of sponsors. So now that we've updated one of the sponsors, we can do so with the other remaining template sponsors, or we can go and add our own brand new sponsors. Again, the steps to doing so are going to be the same regardless if you create new or you update an existing sponsor. So I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one.